Okay, but now we want to do our meditation. And for this meditation, again, we want you to find a sacred place within, place of peace, place of calm, but a place where your creative energy is growing, is thriving, it is magnificent. It is like the burning bush that we hear about that Moses saw. It is a sacred place. And now I want you to repeat after me. I consciously create a sacred space within myself, a sanctuary where divine grace flourishes. I nurture this space with daily acts of compassion, watering it with empathy and illuminating it with unwavering flame of truth. I choose to see myself as a living altar, reflecting the light of God in every aspect of my being. Amen, amen, amen. And if you look to the next page for me, we're going to have our song, and our song is Pure in Heart, O God, because many times that one part that you definitely want to be a part of that sacred space within you is that spiritual heart. And remember, from the Hebrew and from ancient Egyptian, the heart was a part of your inner man, your inner self, not just that beating muscle within you, but it's a part of your inner self. So our song is Pure in Heart, O God, and the first line is Pure in Heart, O God. Help me to be. May I devote my life wholly to thee. Watch thou my wayward feet. Guide me in peace sweet. Pure in heart. Help me to be. Okay, that ends our devotion. And I see we just had a caller come online, and maybe a caller that was with us earlier. Sorry, I forgot to turn on my microphone. So you may have been on here earlier and couldn't hear anything, even though we were going on along with our devotion. But that was because I forgot to turn my mic on. So please, I apologize that to those who will come back with, and thank you for coming back with us. And for our lesson today, I called it Iyar, tending the flame of compassion within. Now, Iyar is a name of the Hebrew month for this time. That month just stepped in yesterday with the new moon, begins the month of Iyar. And we're going to learn what Iyar means, why it's called the month of radiance. But we're also going to learn something that we can use it for in our lives. In fact, from the lesson it says, Iyar, the month of radiance, offers a unique opportunity for spiritual growth and the nurturing of inner light. Like the sap rising in trees, our soul stretches towards the divine, seeking deeper understanding and connection. Iyar reminds us that spiritual growth is not a singular event, but a continuous commitment to renewal, a dance between darkness and light within ourselves. So we're saying that Iyar, one of the things that it teaches us is that, it's just not you saying, oh, I've been saved, and then it's just the end of the process. Part of that inner light within you is that it's always there. It is always growing. It is always working with you. It's like your soul, like a tree. The reason the sap comes up is because the sap in the tree is trying to come up to help the tree to grow and reproduce. So inside of you, that same thing is happening with the light that you're receiving within your soul, that your soul is awakening more and more. Remember, God is unlimited. So it's so much more that your soul can get in contact with. And this month of Iyar is going to help to teach us that. Now, we call this month Taurus, or this time Taurus. And so the moon entered Taurus with this new moon. And some of the things we're going to find that we learn about Iyar is going to also help us to learn about the sign of Taurus. And one of the things we're going to talk about is, since we're talking about this Taurus, and this Taurus is like a storehouse or an altar, because an altar is also a what? A storehouse, a place of attracting, where it attracts all this energy, stores this energy in it, so that we can have that radiance that is inside it. So those are some of the things that we're going to be talking about this consecration. We're going to talk a little bit about the burning bush. In fact, for some of you who will be here, you'll see on the back, I have a little three-dimensional thing with the burning bush on it. And on it, I have something that I came across, and these little coins. And each one of you, when we get the consecration, we're going to have you to get one of these coins to take with you. And I'll give you a little more instruction on what to do with those coins. But we're thinking about the inner radiance. So again, this is another thing about this month is that it is poetry month. Last week I did one poem, and this week I'm going to do another poem. And this poem is also talking about a stream or energy that's within you. And this is by Langston Hughes, and it's called The Negro Speaks of Rivers. Here it goes. I've known rivers. I've known rivers ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood in human veins. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. I bathed in the Euphrates when dawn were young. I built my hut near the Congo, and it lured me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised the pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, and I've seen it muddy. I've seen its muddy blossoms turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient, dusty rivers. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. So that's a poem. The Negro Speaks of Rivers, talking that there is a river inside of us. And we can see from that river that mighty things can come from what? That river, that energy that is growing inside of you. That he goes all the way back to Euphrates, back in Africa, and talk about how even in the Mississippi, he saw it in the, and it's strange that he would mention Euphrates, which I think it's part of the Nile. No, I think the Euphrates is another river, but he mentions the Mississippi. And the Mississippi and the Nile River are a couple of the only two rivers on the planet that flow from south to north. That flow from south to north. Which is one of the ways that I know Egypt became great because of that, because the other good thing about Egypt is the wind blows from north to south. So the river flows up and the wind flows down. So for sailors, that made it really great, because if you wanted to go upriver, you could use the current of the river to do what? Go from the south to north. If you had to go down the river, you did use what? You use the sail or the wind to help you take you from north to south. And the Mississippi became a great river here too, because the Mississippi actually stretches across most of the eastern coast. I think the river that we call the New River is a tributary into to the Mississippi River. So it shows you how, and that's why you hear about the Native Americans actually using that river, using those waterways and riverways to go all over the nation, because they what? They understood the course of those rivers. So we need to think about, if God can create a river here, what would he do for my soul? Has he created a source of continuous flowing to my soul so that I can get the resources that I need, that I can have things going up the river, down the river, and when we're talking about, especially when we're talking about Taurus, so this month of Iyar, does he give me a way to be able to store that mighty energy so I can have it when I need it at other times? And that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about here. But that river, as we talk about as Taurus, it is better to see it as working with compassion. Because the thing that you can get so twisted with Taurus is they will have this flow, but they will get so involved in just using that flow for material things that they mess their lives up. And compassion, if they can learn how to use it with compassion for others, they will learn how to get that creative energy and actually make it more effective and more creative for themselves and for others. And all of us have Taurus within us. Don't just think of the people who are born under. All of us have that Taurus within us. We have that, when we talk about Taurus as far as location, it talks about the nose, throat, ears, nose, and throat. So if you have ears, if you have a nose, if you have a throat, you have a part of what? Taurus. And you want that to be a place where it can be that cross and where it can gather that energy and store it. So we're going to be talking about this month from the Hebrew standpoint, where they called it Iyar, and it will tell you what Iyar means, but it's going to tell you about having that sacred place where you can gather the energy up when it's pouring down, and as it gathers up, you will have it when you need it. So we have a couple of screens I'm going to read to you, and then we're going to talk about it. Any questions? Huh? A couple? But I should say, what, 3 or 4? She's laughing because she's seen them. She said, a couple. So I'm reading and listening. So here's a go. Imagine stepping into a sun-drenched garden in the month of Iyar. The air hums with life. Vibrant blossoms unfurl, and the earth breathes with renewed energy. A simple altar holding water and herbs, resting serenely, a testament to the sacredness of the space. A fire burns steadily, not with a destructive intensity, but with a warming, illuminating glow. This garden, teeming with life and lit by the internal flame, is a reflection of the inner landscape we can cultivate during this potent time. Iyar, the month of radiance, offers a unique opportunity for spiritual growth and the nurturing of inner light. We find ourselves poised between Passover and Shavuot, engaged in a daily practice of counting the Omer, each day, each blessing, a step further on the personal journey of liberation and revelation. Like the sap rising in the trees, our soul stretches towards the divine, seeking deeper understanding and connection. So here we're saying we're imagining ourselves to be in this garden, and we may imagine that this garden is happening during the month of Iyar, and that it has all these things blossoming. It's just like spring. The things are growing in this garden that we have. But there's a possibility to have a what? An altar in here. And this altar can be a place where it's doing what? Gathering in that energy and having it in your storehouse. Because remember, we relate Iyar to Taurus And Taurus is all often seen as that sign of being a storehouse, gathering in energy. When we talked about Aries, we were talking about more of a what? Of energy flowing out. But that same energy can flow in, but it's flowing in into a what? Into a safe place that it can be held within you. That's what we're talking about now when we're talking about here. And here is saying it could be have water and herbs because it's an altar. And remember, there's water inside of you. There are minerals inside of you. And they all have spiritual equivalents inside of you. So you want to be able to have them bringing the storehouse of energy within you into this garden. And this garden is teeming or overflowing or just bubbling with life. And it is lit by an eternal flame. So it's getting all this energy from an eternal source. So this landscape that we're talking about, though, is an inner landscape that you have for you a time to make it something potent for you. And it is Iyar, again, it's called the month of radiance. And remember, in this month, later in this month, we'll be celebrating May Day. And May Day is talking about what? Aligning of the 7 planets. Well, the 7 sisters. They talked about alignment of the Pleiades happens during this time, which are 7 Pleiades that they line up during that time that we do all that celebration in May. Many times you have the May Day festival. It's about that plaiting of the maypole, which is again, it's talking about what? Energy flowing down and you being able to plait it as a suggestion to you what? That you're taking that energy and you're putting it in some type of container or wrapping it, enclosing it, and being able to have it as being stored for you. That's what that plaiting process is doing. All those energies are pouring down. In fact, we think of it as even like 12 energies. Usually we put a maypole, we put 12 streamers on it, representing the different types of energy that can come to you. And as you're plaiting them, you're like bringing them and holding them together, showing that they can be stored, that they can be made to be a blessing in you. So that's why I was talking about this is a nourishing of all of these coming together as these planets and things normally line up during this time of here. Now in here, a lot of this came from Jewish thought. So it talks about Passover and Shavuot. And Shavuot is Passover, many of us know that's a time when the Jews at that time were leaving Egypt and they had to pass over it represents them being passed over by the afflictions that were put on Pharaoh and his people, that it passed over them. They were finally able to leave, and after they left, they went and found a mountain. And at that mountain, God spoke to them. And now that was 49 days later, and that is what they celebrate when they celebrate Shavuot. Shavuot talks about that time when they saw God as a light on top of this mountain. Now, I always thought that God offered them that all of them could have come to the top of that mountain and got the commandments directly for them after he actually spoke to them. He spoke to them, told them all these things, say, now come up here and I'm going to, give you even more about it. And they said, wait a minute, no. We don't want to go up. Let Moses go up to the top of the mountain. And whatever you tell Moses, to straighten out all I always talk about the devil in the details. When you straighten all the details out with Moses, when he comes back, we will follow him. Now, of course, everybody knows they didn't. When Moses left, they started worshiping the calf and doing those things. But then God gave them another chance. But this is the first chance they had. And this happened 49 days after the Passover. Now, Christians actually celebrate something very similar because we look at the Pentecost. And the Pentecost is 50 days, but it's very similar. It's 50 days after Christ arose from the cross. They say another crossing here. So that cross that Christ was able to come above. 50 days after Easter, you have the Pentecost. So it's kind of two, but one is 49 days, one is 50 days, but many of them being similar practices. Now, what the Jews do during this 49 days is it actually tells them to count each one of the days. So from the second day of Passover, every night in their prayers, they have a part of the prayer where they do a count. Like this is day 1, this is day 2, this is day 3, this is day 4. And it goes all the way up to 49, and then they're at this thing. Omar means counting, yes, and that's what counting Omar is. That every day a part of their prayer, because the Bible tells them to count the days. So you know what they do? They count the days. They count each one of the days. What is interesting about it is that 49 is, if my math is correct, is 7 times 7. Correct? So 7 times 7 is 49. So they're having they're still working with that 7. And 7 is the number that also works with Venus, which is a part of Taurus. So that 49 days is a part of it. And what it is, it actually tell them to do it for 7 weeks. So that's why you get it. For 7 weeks, they're supposed to do this. And it's 7 days in a week. So that's why you get it to be 7 times 7 for them. In this month of radiance. So that's kind of giving you some of when it's talking about some of these Jewish things about the Passover and Sukkot and the daily counting of the Omar. Because remember, for each day, they're doing a count. But it says that for this, we're saying that part of what they're doing during that time, especially during this particular week, because for them, they're actually now in the 3rd week from Passover. And then during this week, one of the things that they work with is the compassion. And that's why we have this compassion in here, especially this day. It's supposed to be like the compassion of compassion, being the 17th day of the counting for them. And so when they talk about compassion, what they're talking about is each act of compassion that you do now actually instills something miraculous into your soul. Anytime you can do an act of compassion during this time period, it has a more powerful impact on your soul in growing the things that it deserves to have. So this is talking about that compassion. Because remember, we said with the sign of Taurus, if they can learn how to be compassionate, and I'm not saying it's easy for them or for us. Sometimes that's one of the hardest things for them and for us to do is what? Learn how being compassionate actually can be a benefit to your soul. So many people think to get somebody to do something, you don't show them compassion, you show them what? I'm tough. I'm strong. I don't put up with your stuff. Instead of saying, how can I show some compassion to this person? Because think about it. Is a person going to listen to you because you show them how tough you are? Or would they listen to you more because they feel that you have some compassion for them, that you understand them? Which one do you feel for you helps you to actually feel the best about what you're doing? When that person shows you compassion, or was that person just shows you I'm tough? Because sometimes we'll go to people and they're going through problems and we'll tell them what? No, be tough. Put on your big boy pants or your big girl pants. When the person is crying out for what? Compassion. They're crying out for compassion. And if they get the compassion, they will put on their big boy pants or the big girl pants. What? They can do that themselves. But they just need now what? Compassion. Even our scripture was talking about his mercy endures forever. How come your mercy does what? To not always endure forever? How come you're not always showing your mercy in the things that you are bringing forth. One of the things, another thing it talks about here is talk about a fire burns steadily, not with destructive intensity, but it's an eternal flame. Another thing that we talk about a lot when we talk about the lessons of Taurus is the burning bush. I think we've talked about it a little before, the burning bush. And the burning bush is not consumed by the flame that is around it. The burning bush does what? It holds that energy and it's around it. And when Moses saw the burning bush, the first thing the Spirit told him to do what? Was to see it as a sacred place. To say, take off your shoes, because what? You are in a sacred place. So the burning bush should represent to us a sacred place within us that can burn and hold the compassion of God, the light of God, without consuming us. In fact, for those who for the consecration, if you got to look at back this, we have a little 3D model of a burning bush. Now, it's a little thing that actually is made for kids to put together. But I put it there because we should have some place in our homes that's like an altar, that is a place that does what? That becomes a storehouse, that becomes a sacred place, that be able to bring in this energy. In fact, when I say I have some, I've got some extra ones. Now, these are for kids. So I've only got one kid in here. So I'm gonna give him one so he can actually fun between together. It's a 3D model. It's not hard to put together. It has a bush in it that's burning and it has some stickers in it. It's a felt thing. And the stickers you put on the tree. And once you put those stickers, it's like some red stickers and some green stickers. It's a little map that shows you how to put them on the tree, but you put them on the tree. And then it's a little flat plate, and then the things stick up from it. Now, I do have extras, but the adults might want some too, because you can make this as a place that you can do what? Put this up in your house as a sacred place where you can have things to grow in this storehouse. And should I tell you now? Yes. And is it something that I want you to use to grow? I have something, I have on the back, when you get to consecration, you'll see these coins. There's some coins, and I want each one of you to take a coin. And the coin is the whole armor of God coin. A whole armor of God coin. And so on one side of this coin is a soldier who is standing up. On the back side of the coin is the parts of the whole armor of God. So there are 6 parts of the whole armor of God, right? There's a gird your loins, which means you have a wrap for your loins. You have the shield, which is the that's around your that's on your arms. You have the breastplate. You have the sword. You have your feet shod. You have on a helmet. All these things are on this coin. And the way you look at this coin, the way I look at this coin is the front one is about the whole idea of the whole armor of God. And that means to what? To stand. On the back side, it has 6 principles. Altogether, it's talking about 7 principles, right? That makes 7. You got 6 on the back, and you got the principle about standing on this side. You got about standing. Now, why does that make any sense? Why does that make a difference? I'm saying you can use this coin to help you decide what principle you want to pray for. Because like I said, a lot of times we come into people, we pray for them, and we don't know which principle to pray for, right? Now there's a proverb that says, the lots are cast into the lap, but every decision comes from God. So if you make this coin sacred, it can give you a helping decision that comes directly from God about what you're going to pray for. And how do you do it? Spin the coin. Well, I would spin it. You can't flip it too, but spin the coin. Let the coin spin. See if it comes on the side. This one came up on the side where the soldier is standing. So you need to do a prayer about what? Standing. If it comes on the other side, the choice you have to make is something is going to be at the top, right? Unless it leads you to use another spot of it, use whatever's at the top is what? That's the principle I'm going to use. And it could be salvation, it can be faith, it can be truth, it can be peace, it can be the sword of the spirit. Any one of those can become from what? From this coin. But how do you make sure that the coin is going to be sacred? You need to put it up for 7 days. Put it somewhere for 7 days before you start using it. For 7 days, you want to take the coin and do what? If you have that little platform, like if you have that, put it on that platform. If you have a Bible, put it up there, and for 7 days, let it stay there and be charged and get charged. In fact, if you want to be like the Jews, each day when you go to it, just pray, this is day what? This is day 1. The next day is what? This is day 2. This is day 3. And let it sit there for 7 days. And after that 7 days, see how the Spirit leads you to either leave it there on your altar, put it in your wallet, put it or like keep you keep it in a Bible, put it in your wallet, or just have it somewhere that especially when you need to ask some guidance on what part of God you need to work with, you always have what? Your coin charged during those 7 days. Any comments or questions before we go on? Well,
And I know sometimes, you want to kind of remove the energy to recharge it. Is it best to do it like during a new moon? Like recharge it?
the best time to charge it is either on a new moon, or if you're in the middle of the month and you feel that you still need a charge, start on a Friday. Start on Friday. So you can start with a new moon, or you can start with a Friday. So I'll give you a choice with Venus. Yes. So my wife has given me the signal. Okay, keep going. Okay. Other parts, I think the rest of it might be a little shorter. This is reading the next screen. Iyar reminds us that spiritual growth is not a singular event, but a continuous commitment to renewal, a dance between darkness and light within ourselves. How can we harness this radiant energy to tend the flame of compassion within? For in this month, as we count the days, weeks forward, Shavuot, the giving of the Torah, we discover the necessity of compassion. It is the sunlight and the water for the garden of our souls. Compassion, as the teachings of the Spiritual Guidance Temple of Truth illuminate, is not merely an emotion, but a conscious practice that transforms our hearts into sacred altars. Consider, for example, the impact of refraining from judgment, of actively seeking to understand another's pain rather than rushing to criticize. Can we truly behold the divine spark, the Christ consciousness in every being we encounter, even when those challenges, even when when those who challenge us most. The deliberate purification of our thoughts and intentions form the foundation upon which all meaningful action is based. So what it's telling us that we have to make sure inside of us we have the right spirit, the compassionate spirit. And just like we would want people to work with us in compassion, when you start using that compassion with others and thinking on compassion, or sometimes we can even call that love, it actually helps your soul to be able to do it better. And that's what it's saying is that sometimes when we're getting and reacting to people out of anger, reacting out of fear, what is your soul being fed at that time? Even your soul, and then to be able to help the other person's soul, needs to be filled with compassion. We need to work more with compassion and less with some of these other things and actually turning away from them, because the more we work with compassion, it can keep growing just like seeds grow. And that seed and those growing seeds of that will actually help you to become more and more Christ conscious day by day, minute by minute, act by act. Let's go to the next screen. What blocks the flow of compassion in your life? During this month of Iyar, consider expressing your compassion in new ways, even towards those to whom you have been callous. This conscious cultivation of compassion calls for the illumination of truth, the kind of inner truth that burns away the shadows and guides our actions with clarity. The burning bush, that iconic image of consuming flame, symbolizes the enduring presence of God within us. It is not a destructive fire, but a purifying force, fueled by love and wisdom. God is often described as a consuming fire, a metaphor for the process of burning away negativity and drawing closer to the inner peace and truth. Just as the bush burned without being consumed, can we allow the fire of truth to illuminate our flaws? To eliminate our flaws and imperfections without destroying our spirit. So that's what we're saying the burning bush is for us. How can we burn up and eliminate the flaws, the imperfections, and still have what? The bush of our spirit, our true spirit within us. And that's what some of these practices will help us to do. Will help us to burn up those things that are impure around us and be able to have that inner light and peace of God, because that's really what God is trying to pour out to you. Peace, truth, and love. And with those things, we can find that the real fire, that fire will begin to build up in you more and more, because it doesn't have the things blocking it, and it will grow and will help your consciousness to grow more and more. But it's saying we need to cultivate that type of consciousness, a consciousness that is based on compassion, because that will help your soul to grow the most. Got a couple of more screens. So the inner process mirrors the profound symbolism of the Nuka symbol Inyami Dua, which I may have pronounced wrong, but a West African symbol representing the presence and protection of God. The Inyame Dua means tree of God or altar of God. It is a stylized image of a tree stump used in Akan rituals to drive away evil spirits and call for divine favor. This reminds us that we are not alone in our spiritual journey. God's presence, whether symbolized by the burning bush or the Inyame Dua, is accessible through faith, ritual, and a commitment to living a life rooted in compassion and truth. If God is present in all things, how can we make our place of worship within us? The Inyame Dua, the altar of compassion, and the burning bush, each serve as mirrors reflecting different facets of the same divine truth. They converge in the creation of a sacred space within ourselves, a sanctuary where divine grace can flourish. It is a space built with intention, watered with compassion, and illuminated by the flame of truth. For those who can see the screen, one of the things they have in it is a heart with the Inyame dua on it, which is a stump, a tree stump of a certain type of trees where the tree branches are twisted, and they would use that to make an altar. And so we're saying with your life, you need to do what? Bring your things together and make an altar within yourself. And that altar within you, it becomes like a sacred place, a sacred thing, that you can use that sacred thing to help to guide you. You're not in this process, what? Alone. You're just like the Inyame Dua says, God is with you, God is protecting you. God is protecting you, and God is guiding you. We like to look at it as the whole armor of God. In the Adinkra symbols, this particular symbol is one that talks about that. God is protecting you, God is guiding you in all things in life. But in the things in life, sometimes we don't, when God is trying to guide us, because I think a lot of times when we have troubles in our life, God is trying to guide us to the particular truth that we need to go for. You say when you're having to pray for your friends and why they're having problems, sometimes their problems are lessons to you. And if it's a lesson, that means the problem is guiding you to what you should be praying for to help yourself and all those around you. I think that's kind of what happened to Job, because remember, Job was living a beautiful life, blameless life. But when God asked Satan about testing him, Satan said, what? But does Job serve you for nothing? One of the questions he had. He said, you built a hedge around Job. So Job is taking all of his spiritual blessings and doing what? Using them for Job and nobody else. And he had, had sons, he had land, he had cows, he had all these things. And Satan says, yes, he has these things, but Job is all about what? Job. Job is all about Job. And the way life works on earth, we're all in certain things together. And we all should be looking at how we not just help ourselves, but how we help what? All us around us. Because when God finally talked to Job, because Job kept saying, oh, my problem is that God just doesn't, I can't go and tell God, you got me wrong. I've done all the things, and he and his friends kept saying, oh, no, you need to curse God, or you need to admit you did something wrong. And Job's just saying, no, I haven't done anything wrong, and I'm not going to curse God. I just understand this is just a misunderstanding. Because if I could go and talk to God, God would see that, he did it to the wrong person. And Job does that for about 30 chapters until a young man who was there, because this young man came with these other older men, and he let the young older men talk, and they were telling Job all these things about, no, you either did something wrong or you just need to curse God and not be under his guidance anymore. And the young man tells them, Job, you know what your problem is? You're saying you can't go talk to God. That's where you have failed. Because God does, and he said, God speaks to us through the whirlwinds. God speaks to us through the things and what he's saying is God speaks to us through the environment around us. God is speaking to us with the things that are happening around you. And since y'all taught me that God speaks to us through these things, then when you say that God cannot talk to you about what's going wrong, you are mistaken. And after this young man tells Job that, a whirlwind comes and starts speaking to Job. And Job kind of gets fearful because he realized what? I've been sitting right here all this time telling that I can't talk to God, and here God is coming to talk to me. And because when God comes, and I'll get through this quickly. When God does come, God comes and says, Who is calling me on the carpet? Who is this who dares to question my judgment? It must be somebody that knows how to count every star in the sky. He must know how many stars there are exactly in the sky. They must know how the foundation of the world is laid. They must know more than me if they're calling me what? They're calling me on the carpet. And that's when Job starts getting more and more humble because he's saying, what? I don't know the fabric of how the whole universe works. I don't know how all these things tie together. I don't know when something is happening to me because of the effect it may have on someone else. Because when you look at what God tells Job to do, God tells Job, these friends that come to you, you need to start praying for them. That is his answer to Job. You need to start praying for them and helping them to get through some of their problems. And when the people saw that God came and talked directly to Job, all of them started coming to Job. All of them started giving him things. And at the end of it, Job, by going to help others, ended up with 7 times. We hear that word again, 7 times than he had before. So work with that number 7, but know that the things that happen to you in life are guides to help you to know what you can start working for that is actually going to help yourself and help those around you. I haven't asked it earlier before. Does anybody have any comments or questions? But remember that sacred place, which is and that sacred place is a place where you have the presence and protection of God. That's what you're setting up. That's why I want to use this Inyame Dua. That sacred place for you lets you know that you have the protection and the presence of God around near you to get the answers to your problems in life. And the last screen this is a short screen. See, as we move through the month of Iyar, nurturing our souls with daily acts of compassion, guided by the eternal flame of truth, and protected by the ever-present divine, we become, in essence, living sanctuaries. We transform into altars of radiance, reflecting the light of God in all we do and in all we are. Let the radiance of Iyar empower you to live a life of joy, courage, and beauty, a testament to the divine spark within. Let compassion and truth be the fire that burns in your heart, illuminating your path for yourself and the world. So that's what it's saying, that we need to know sometimes that it tells you to be in the world and not of the world, but you can help bring forth God. You are the image of God. That means that you can bring forth God's image, God's likeness, God's principle into the world around you. And you can do that by many times just the attitude you take towards some of the things you do. The attitude that you can work with others and do it with compassion. And that doesn't mean fall for every stupid trick they bring to you. It's not mean having the type of compassion and love that just accepts everything. But can you find a compassionate way to tell them the truth? Because remember, when we were working with the whole armor of God, the first thing it says is you have to gird your loins with truth. So don't be untruthful to people, be truthful to them. But take the time to let the vision of God see what is their real problem, what is the real truth. And don't be so quick to make that truth some fault you find in a person. Can you look beyond the fault? Like we say we want to do, we want to tell somebody, look beyond the fault and see what is it they need. Because a lot of times the reason they're showing a fault is because they need something. And I don't know that's hard to do, especially when you look at America and you see these people and they do all these strange things that they, even do things that hurt themselves. Thinking that they're getting back at Black people and Mexican people and all of that. think of what they're doing to their soul and think on what is it that they really need, that they need to put us down to make them feel better about themselves, to make them feel better about the money they've accumulated, about the government that they've created. Here they created this great government and they hate it. Why? You know, they talking about we hate them. Why do you hate the Constitution that your people helped put together? Why do you hate it? Why do you hate a liberty and justice for all? Why you got something against that? Why do you have something against all people are created equal? Why do you have something against that? They want the power. And even when you ask that, are they greedy? Why do they want power? What is so lacking in them that they have to have all these material things to make them feel worthy in life? There is something definitely what? Needed by them. And they are looking for the wrong thing to do what? To be able to satisfy that. Because they want to have what? Give me more possessions. And the thing about it, when you see people, I do, when you see people and they look like the more possessions they get, the worse they get in life. And yet they do want more. They want more possessions. They want more power. And when they get it, they just become more weird.
Don't watch. You get so mad and angry with them, you wanna do something to them. I saw a movie this week where this guy had a company and he treated this one guy real nasty,
Mhm.
really bad, and the guy killed him.
Yeah.
Like pushing him, and down, you know, like really browbeating
Mm-hmm.
everybody, and everybody was like, he really had, that guy killed him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they push you to, can't let them get you crazy. And when you work with compassion and keep saying how compassion works with you. And remember, that doesn't mean silly. That don't mean you keep letting them beat on you for no reason. Remember, I don't believe that the passage that says that you turn the other cheek had anything to do with let somebody beat you senseless for no reason. That whole passage about turning the other cheek was about how do you repay someone when you have done harm to them. That's what that passage is about. It's not about how you let somebody who you've done nothing to, that you are blameless, and you're going to let them beat you down. That makes no sense. But even the Jews called that a part of the, even when they talk about an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, it's about the law of retribution. How when you've done something wrong, how when you have injured the eye of your neighbor's cattle, what do you owe him? And originally it was you just owe him another eye. That's what it was talking about when it's in an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. If you did something to destroy your neighbor's cow tooth, you owed him what? You owed him a tooth, the value of the tooth. And what Jesus came and said, you actually owe him more than that. You ask him more than the eye and more than truth. Because he says if you have to owe the person that you have to walk a mile with them, you walk 2 miles. If you owe him a coat, you have to give him a coat and a cloak. Why? Because when you injure someone, it's not just a material loss, it's what? It's a spiritual loss also. It's more than just so you have to give them more to be able to do what? To make up, and now that's what they call pain and suffering. How can you make up for the pain and suffering you cause in a person? That's all based on Jesus telling them to go more. But if you have not caused the person a pain and they're just beating on you because of some problem they have, there's nothing brave about letting somebody slap you twice. when you didn't owe one slap. In fact, when they look at the word in the Bible, where it talks about if you get slapped, the word that it uses there is about a slap of punishment, as a punishing slap. When someone does something and your way of rectifying that is to let them slap you, he was saying, you owe what? Let them slap you on both cheeks. But that is a slap of what? A slap where you are repaying a debt by being in pain. And he's saying, do more than just let it be a slap. Let it be two slaps to make sure that you have gone beyond just saying, I'm just giving you what you lost. But this month gives us, like it says, a marvelous opportunity to help us better. And I hope that those that even find working with these coins, that it helps you to guide you to find out how can I, because what I'm trying to do with the coins is direct you into a more compassionate way of dealing with problems you have, using the whole armor of God context as helping to guide you to a truth that you can work with rather than just trying to criticize a person, where you can get to really, because as you start working with compassion, but to me, what it does is you actually start to begin to see what is really wrong with this person. What does this person really need? And most of the time, it's not that just they need to be criticized, not that they need to be forced into, oh, you need to man up, you need to get tough. Sometimes the person just wants what?
Love.
Love. And sometimes they just want a shoulder to cry on. A hug, yes. But are there any comments or questions? For the sake of concentration, and probably won't have you doing it yourselves. I'll probably be putting it all on you. But just so you know that if you were doing it yourself on the Venus, it works with the number 7, and it works from what will probably be the 4 o'clock position in making a counterclock, a clockwise, not counter, a clockwise circle. And you want to think about even when you're getting your gems, radiance flourishes within me, and that's that light. And we're talking about the month of radiance. So radiance flourishes within me. So we're at our announcements. The ones I have is it's still Poetry Month. April is Poetry Month. We have a consecration today on the 19th. On the 26th, we'll have a temple message by Megan Adarile. Coming up soon is May 1st, which is May Day. On April the 24th is LaShawn Cedar Drake's birthday, and May 4th is Mother Pat Williams' birthday. Oh, okay, I gotta add that. May 10th is Melody's birthday. Something. See if I can enter that now. Now I've made it go away for good. That's why I don't do this sometimes because hold up. Melanie, did I do that right? Williams. Save. Something to save here. Okay. So I'd like to thank you for for the various ways that you donate to us. What do I have? I could just kill my camera. And and for the way we donate to us through either Cash App or Zelle, through the telephone number 954-549-4713. And for Zelle, you can also send to offerings@spiritualguidancetemple.org, or you can go to our website. The website is up to date. Just have to get the one for the date on, and it will be all good. So if there's nothing else, I'll just say we'll dismiss those online for us. And if you want a coin, just send me a note, or if I don't have your address, send me your address so that I can send you a coin. But let me say for our dismissal, may the love of God illuminate your way. May the will of God direct you each day. May the truth of God all errors depart. And may the peace of God forever dwell in your heart. Amen, amen, amen.